Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks MLB update. Hopefully, everybody's well. We got some serious issues going on here with the virtual background. Let's see if we can clean that up just a little bit. That's a little bit better. Hopefully, everybody's doing well today. Good to have you with us. We're just a few weeks away from opening day now. A lot of stuff going on. Fantasy drafts happening. I've got one tomorrow, which I'm ill prepared for, and one Sunday night. And it'll be a lot of fun. So we'll see how that goes. We're getting closer. A lot of stuff going on, man. Injuries are cropping up everywhere. What is going on with Major League Baseball players that they can't stay healthy? What's going on with the Yankees that they can't stay healthy? Carlos Rendon, there's something wrong with him. His velocity's off. I said before that this was a bad signing. They shouldn't have done this. But anyway, we're going to get into all that. We'll talk about some of the injuries. We'll talk about, I guess, some managers on the hot seat. Maybe not a hot seat, but pressure. Like, who's got more pressure on him than Dave Roberts this year, for instance? We'll take your comments as well. Lots of stuff going on. A couple extensions, signings, some injuries. We'll just take a look at things going on around Major League Baseball. Take your comments and topics as well. I want to welcome everybody watching on TGI Sports Talk today, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. I will still call it Twitter. You know, I'm too old to change. Northeast Streaming Sports. We're on the Roku channel today, live. So make sure you get that Roku channel, Northeast Streaming Sports. Go to Roku, look for the channels. It's a Roku app. Look for channels. It's free. You can't comment there, but you'd have to be on Facebook or YouTube, or we're there on Northeast Streaming Sports as well. And Let's Talk Sports. We're live on YouTube today. Quick shout out to RW Media and Ralph Williams, and specifically the Sports Corner he does with Smokin' Jim Frazier every Tuesday, now 4 to 6 on WBVP, 12:30 a.m., 99.3 FM. I'll be on with them. I'm not sure what portion of the show yet. I don't think. I may have told them on the 26th of this month. Thumbs up, DDH, and a quick shout out to the sports, the bottom line sports, who we've been giving a shout out to as one of our new groups. Excuse me. And we'll give shout outs to the groups as we go through each one of our shows. So welcome, everybody. Hope you got some things you want to chat about today. Chris is with us. Every star player has the last big hurrah season. Beware, buyer beware, as I believe that's happened with J.D. Martinez. I'm not a big J.D. Martinez fan. J.D. Martinez has yet to sign. Interesting enough, I mean, after we talked last week, Matt Chapman did a 3-year deal worth only $54 million with the Giants. Significant upgrade. We talked about the Giants being a good fit for him. He returns to the Bay Area. He started his career with Oakland. Good fit for the Giants. Good glove. Anything is better than J.D. Davis over there. And it does significantly change the look of their infield. They would have had Davis or some combination of Davis and Wilmer Flores over there. They'll probably do some platooning at first base. But he's got an opt-out after every year. Just similar to Cody Bellinger. Scott Boras' clients really have not done well. They're the biggest losers. Everybody talks about Scott Boras being the biggest loser of the postseason. How about his clients? Scott Boras doesn't lose. They sign, he gets paid. Gets paid less, but to me, he's screwed over his clients by misreading this market. So Chapman signs, gets opt-outs after every year. So it's really a 1-year deal. In fact, I believe the Giants announced this as a 1-year, $17 million deal. Part of it with the signing. I think might have been, I'm trying to think now, might have been announced as a $12 million deal with There was a signing bonus included. So that's what I'm trying to get at in a roundabout way. Cody Bellinger, again, signed a similar deal with the Cubs. 3 years, $80 million. I mean, you'll say, why did he get that much more? I think Cody Bellinger, he's younger, had a better year than Chapman last year. I mean, Chapman was really good through the end of May, early June, and then the bottom fell out on his season, really, offensively anyway. But Bellinger signs for more money, but does have the opt-out after each year. I'm not a big fan of the opt-outs, as you know, if you've watched my shows. But if you're going to sign these short-term contracts, where I really draw the line is when you start getting into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year contracts, especially those really long ones, 8, 9, 10, let's say, at 7. You can't have both long-term security. And these guys, don't get me wrong, this is for most people, $54 million or even $17 million is pretty good long-term security. But these Major League Baseball players, they want to sign long-term contracts and then have opt-outs after 2 years and when their contract becomes obsolete. In these cases, they've had to go kind of crawling back to, or come crawling to get the crumbs. Again, it's relative what we're talking about. Millions of dollars is not crumbs, but it is in the context of what we're talking about. I mean, take for instance, Zach Wheeler just signed a 3-year, $126 million contract extension. Really? So now you see what I'm talking about. Wheeler better hold up. Aaron Nola better hold up. The Phillies have a lot of money wrapped up in these two pitchers. They're both very good pitchers, don't get me wrong. And Wheeler's a little bit younger than Nola, but a lot of miles on Nola to be putting that type of money and years, guaranteed money, in front of these guys, which is what's happened here. Anyway, he's pitched very well. I got to believe the Mets wish they had Zach Wheeler back. Wouldn't you think? What do you got here for me, Chris? Yastrzemski, the late bloomer in San Francisco. I think he's already 34 years old this year. I've always, Mike Yastrzemski, I think it is, right? I've rooted for him because he's a great story. The grandson of Carl Yastrzemski, and he's had some decent. He's been a decent, productive Major League Baseball player, right? Not on the level of his grandfather, but that's a pretty. That's a pretty high bar set, right? Carl Yastrzemski was a great player in my mind. A lot of people feel like Yaz might have been a compiler. He played a lot of years. But Yaz had some really big years, especially, when you get into the it's a 67 season, through the next 4, 5, 6 seasons. Yaz was one of the best players in the game. Did he play a long time? Yes. Did he accumulate a lot of stats? Because his power numbers didn't hold up that well later in his career. And I think as is the want in Boston, people have more affection for guys after they're gone. Ted Williams got booed. Yaz got booed. They love their players after they're gone. We Yankee fans, we love our players while they're here. If they can compete. Because speaking of guys who shouldn't be Yankees, Carlos Rondon gets beat up again in spring training. Again, spring training, if I'm not going to get worked up about good things, I probably shouldn't get worked up about bad things. But Carlos Rondon, just his velocity's down. I said last year, bad signing, injury issues. And I feel the same way about Blake Snell. There's some good years mixed in with some very mediocre or even bad years, plus an injury concern. I don't see Rendon improving this. I know he changed he got in better shape. He shaved. He looks totally different. Blah, 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 blah. This is a concern for the Yankees. I know a couple of people told me last week, don't worry about the Yankees. They'll be fine. There's 1/5 of the starting rotation already a question mark. That's what I got to be concerned about, right? What do you got, Chris? My thoughts on the Royals moves this offseason. Yeah, they did bring lots of new names in. Let me take a quick look at let's pull up the Royals and see what kind of moves they made here. Let me go here. Wrong mouse. Let's just go here real quick. I mean, what they did, I'm going to look at their depth chart and we'll take a look at their team. Again, they're playing in a weak division, right? The AL Central, we're looking for surprise teams. We talked about it a little bit last week. Who's going to be this year's Diamondbacks? Detroit came up. The Royals could come up. You need really good. I mean, they signed Michael Wacha. They signed Seth Lugo, who I like a lot. If he can stretch out and be a competent starter, he's listed as their number one starter right now on the depth chart. That's probably not a good thing. If Seth Lugo is your number one starter, that's probably not a good thing. If he's your third, fourth, or fifth starter, that's good. I mean, Wacha is your second starter. Jordan Lyles is still listed as their fifth starter. That's not a good sign. I do like Chris Stratton in the bullpen. I like Will Smith. That's a pretty good signing, I think. Who else did they sign here that we wanted to talk about? Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier is better as a utility guy and, Swiss Army knife, if you will, than he is when he's got to play every day. And right now he's listed as their starting second baseman. We'll see how that turns out. Who else did they bring in? Hunter Renfroe's another guy that they brought in. Again, solid major leaguer. Nothing to be excited about here. Bobby Witt, though, if Salvador Perez can turn back the clock a little bit, if Frazier can turn back the clock, if Bobby Witt can continue to develop the way that he has, and some of the other young guys start to come around, like Garcia at third base, and their young outfield, not including Hunter Renfroe. This team could surprise. They could be a team that makes a leap. I think the pitching holds them back, though. That's what worries me a lot about this team is the starting pitching. I like Seth Lugo. I would like Lugo. I would like him better if he was their third, fourth, fifth starter. Brady Singer, still some potential there. I like him. Michael Wacha's had some success in the league. But at this point, these are journeymen. Jordan Lyles. So I worry a little bit about that. Danny Fuller, one of our newer Chris is keeping Danny informed. Good to have you with us again, Danny. Danny was a heavy participant this morning in our youth series, and we're happy to welcome Danny aboard. And I did see that you followed the page. I think it was a TGI Sports Talk page and not my personal page, but either is fine. I can invite you the other way. Hopefully you'll continue to enjoy what you see, and we'll have some good conversation. Danny Fuller loves Will Smith, the cather that is, I can't, had to. The cather that, I'm not sure. Oh, I get it. Listen, Will Smith, the pitcher, has had some pretty good success. Alan Perales, our resident Ranger fan, who you weren't here last week, Alan, and it didn't look like you'd been feeling very good, Alan. I hope you're feeling better, by the way. Not sure what was going on. Not trying to pry, just hope you're feeling better. Half the Rangers ended up in Kansas City, have a chance to be special, but they do need something else. But your team, by the way, I picked your team. Alan, if you're still here, you can certainly feel free to beat me up because I was a non-believer for a long time. And I will say once again, congratulations on your first World Series. Great job. the team I picked to most likely, one of the most likely, I shouldn't say the most likely, one of the teams most likely to drop off this year and potentially miss the postseason. I'm sorry, but you're Rangers. Three-fifths of your starting rotation you're not going to have for half the season. I don't like the depth. I mean, you still got some starters there. I mean, Dunning can fill in. We know that. You got a tremendous offense. I get that. It's even better with is it Evans now playing left field? And he played the end of last year. I know that. But the Rangers are a team that I think you have to watch because, again, you're in a very good division. Unlike the Royals, somebody could surprise very easily in the AL Central or even the NL Central for that matter. And the Royals or the Tigers could step up and do that just because the division's so weak. Again, I think as Alan said, this team is lacking something. Depth for one thing, and quality starters for another. But again, it's a team that could surprise. We'll see how that goes. Chris says the Pirates with more household names this year, not guys who just paved your driveway. Well, let's look at the Pirates since we're talking about them. And this is the way I love to kind of go through this show. So thank you for that. By the way, I would think with the expanded, which I hate, I still hate the expanded playoffs. I'm sorry. I had a hard enough time. If it was me again, as I said this morning about other things, I turned back the clock 20 years and I'd have, or maybe I got to go back further now. What am I talking about? I'm getting old. 30 years and have 2 divisions in each league and no wild cards. That's me. I don't need 10, 12, 14 teams in the playoffs. But with these expanded wild cards, pretty much every team in baseball except I will include the Pirates as having a chance, except the Nationals and the A's probably got some kind of hopes of at least contending for a wild card. I'll get to your comments. Keep going. Keep putting them up, and we'll get to them. Let's look at the Pirates real quick. I think we talked about them last week a bit. There are some things to like about the Pirates. Mitch Keller has turned into a really good major league pitcher. They picked up one of the guys that the Rangers discarded Alan will mention, and Martin Perez. Still made a mistake 2 years ago in not trading him, by the way. And then re-signing him in the offseason as a free agent, but that's just me. Marco Gonzalez, not crazy about net rotation. We'll see whether Luis Ortiz or Thaler can falter can pick it up a little bit. You've got our Chapman from the Rangers there. Bednar, I think, is got some really good potential at closer. Hurting a little bit right now. We're going to talk about some of the guys. But you do have some names there that people will recognize. Are they any good anymore, though? Grandal? Not so sure. Tellez. Brewers couldn't wait to get rid of Tellez. Piergo's got some potential. Cabrian Hayes, I think, will continue to develop as a I don't know if the power is ever going to come. Charlie Hayes' son, by the way. He's a very good player, good defender. O'Neill Cruz, the 6'11" or 7 foot. I'm kidding. He's not that tall, but he's about 6'7", I think. And O'Neill Cruz. Hopefully he's healthy this year. Brian Reynolds, we know about his potential there in left field. Sowinski's got a little experience now, and Andrew McCutchen. We'll see what kind of depth he has left. Again, in that Central Division, who knows? With the expanded wild cards, who knows? Catcher, that is. Will Smith, yes. There are a few Will Smiths around. Not all of them are punching, Chris Rock in the face either. Anybody else watching this here? Bill Sopkowitz, I can see, is out there. How you doing, Bill? I don't know whether see, I can't see where you're watching us from, but I do see Bill out there. Oh, sorry, Alan. I went past here. Will Smith has won 3 World Series in a row. Royals world champs confirmed. Excellent. He could be a Will Smith could be a lucky charm. We'll find out. We'll see how strong that mojo is with his Royals team, though, for sure. Danny Fuller was left speechless by something. Excuse me. God, I got some heartburn today. And how bad the AL Central is, and they are bad, by the way, and how bad the Angels and A's are, I doubt that. As far as the Rangers falling out, I don't think. To me, the Astros are going to be the favorite to win this division until, they break up this team. But the Rangers, listen, the offense is really good. It needs to carry them for a bit because you've got to carry them for about 3 months. You're talking about the Mariners. Well, Mariner and the Astros have pitching questions. Everybody's got pitching questions. The Astros know how to win. You saw last year they know how to win. Now, if they didn't win in the playoffs, I get that. But still, smart money goes to experience. The Rangers got experience now. They've got good postseason experience, but you need pitching to win. Everybody's got pitching issues. You can't point out pitching issues, when you're looking at the Rangers issues right now. The Mariners, I do think, could be that team. They finished a game out of the playoffs last year. 2 games, I think, out of the division championship, if I'm not mistaken, Alan. And let's not forget the Rangers almost marinered last year as well. They straightened out. They righted the ship in time to go out and win a championship. Kudos to you. Congratulations. Go out and do it again, and I'll be impressed. I'm impressed anyway. I shouldn't say that. I've been hard on Allen and the Rangers. Probably, I don't know, maybe unfairly so. I'm going to see the Rangers play, I think, on August 10th, by the way. I've already got tickets to that game and a couple other Yankee games. Hopefully they stay day games. If they don't, I may not go. But we'll see. We're going to see your Rangers up close and in person. Pirates are your dark horse team this year. I don't know. I'm looking at this team, and I do like Keller. I do like Bednar. Not crazy about the rest of that rotation unless Ortiz steps up. Marco Gonzalez is another journeyman. A lot of journeyman starters out there everywhere. O'Neill blossoms. Brian Reynolds has a year like he had 2 years ago. Sawinski continues to develop. Olivares is, I think, a decent chance to progress. And maybe McCutchen throws back the clock a little bit. But, again, a weak division, anything can happen. Angels, no chance. Again, no pitching. You got Mike Trout and nothing else. 78. I think 78 is the over-under on their win total this year. Let's see. Let's just take a quick look. I mean, Reed Detmers is their number 1 starter. That's a bad rotation, man. Just start there. I like the bullpen a little bit more than the rest of the team. But, my God, Mike Trout is surrounded by Anthony Rendon, who doesn't even care. He hates baseball. He said he doesn't like baseball. Why am I paying you tens of millions of dollars to play a game you don't like? Don't get it. I don't understand. Aaron Hicks. I mean, look, their offseason was horrendous. Brandon Drury. This team, 78. I think the under is a pretty good bet here. Unless Mike Trout hits 70 home runs and stays healthy for the first time in 3 years, 4 years. Taylor Ward was on track last year to the old fastball to the face. That does cause problems. I can see Ward handling some more of the spotlight. Very patient hitter. Good young hitter for sure. Again, you always wonder how players, especially young players, are going to respond to what happened to him last year. Hopefully, I haven't seen any of the spring training for the Angels. I'm not a big spring training guy, which, again, as I said a few minutes ago, I'm worked up about Rendon. I suppose if I'm not getting worked up about good situations in spring training, I shouldn't get worked up about bad ones either, but we'll see. Good stuff. Lots of comments tonight. I like comments. I was purchasing stars first attempt. Let's see if I was successful. Interesting. I appreciate that if they're coming my way. But I appreciate that. Alan says we'll likely get both Owen White and Jack Leiter called up this year to help. Again, that's all well and good, but those are not proven commodities any more than Wyatt Langford. That's not a good sign of, again, lots of potential. Potential is just that, potential. Until they produce, I can't get excited about those names filling in for the names that you're missing. I told you, Alan, and you know what? Maybe it's worth it. Maybe the signing of DeGrom gave this team, the rest of this team, some confidence that management believed in their ability to win last year. But I told you in the long run that the DeGrom signing was going to cost you, and I still believe that, because that money is guaranteed, and you're not the New York Yankees. You're not the Dodgers. You're not the Red Sox. You don't have just money to burn. You can't pay over all the luxury tax. You're going to have to stick to a budget. That money's going to hurt you. Now, maybe a World Series championship is worth it. And I do think signing him, in fairness, I do think signing DeGrom signaled to the rest of that team that they were serious about winning last year. And maybe that's worth it. Maybe he never pitches another inning, which is possible. I'm not sure he'll win 15 games for that team the whole length of his contract. No, I know that. Of course I know you beat them. Listen, you had a great postseason run. You guys got it back together at the right time. You did a great job. So, kudos to you. Do it. But listen. And I'm not saying you got to win back-to-back World Series, Alan. Again, I'm only making a comment. If I've got to look at the teams from the playoffs last year, Miami, even the Diamondbacks, Rangers are good candidates to fall backwards. Drew's with us. Hello, Drew. How are you? I mentioned I'll be. I didn't mention you specifically, but I mentioned I'd be at the draft tomorrow. One that I'm ill prepared for, but that's just fine. We'll play it as it comes. Oh God. Here's a hot take. Listen, that may not be such a hot take. You look at the Angels lineup, I can't say it's any better than the A's. I could say it because I guess the only way you can say it is because Mike Trout's in it, at least for now, until he gets hurt. And Rendon, if all things being equal, Rendon should make them a better team than the A's, Rendon and Trout, all by themselves. But one guy won't stay healthy, and the other guy doesn't like the game he's playing, getting paid to play. The game he's getting paid to play. Go do something else with your life, man. Go pick up garbage. Go whatever. Go play golf. If you don't want to play baseball, I don't want you on my team. Man. Yeah, I love the under there. 500 stars. Whoa. Thank you, Danny Fuller. Appreciate that very much. Danny, one of our newest fans. Him and Chris Fgrave have done a great job of participating in the shows the last few weeks. Chris the last few weeks, and Danny today. And Chris has been very effusive in his praise. And listen, I just come here and have fun, man. I'm just be myself and I have fun. So that's what we do. Drew, Alan Perales, nice catch on Will Smith. He also the only one to ever done it with 3 teams in 3 different straight. That's a good catch too. I agree, Alan. Great job. I'm trying to remember the third team. Who the hell won the World Series 3 years ago? 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Sorry. Astros. No. God, how come I don't know this? My old brain is getting worn out, man. Right now, it's a TV deal at. Well, you're not the only one it's killing. It's killing some other teams as well. But again, the TV deal is killing you, yes, because there's no TV money, real TV money to be had. But again, you got a guy. How many starts did you get out of DeGrom last year? It's possible he doubles that for the rest of his time with Texas. And that's going to be $160 million just gone that you could have spent elsewhere. Again, you got a World Series championship out of it, I think, because partially signing him gave that team confidence that they were believed in. That counts for something. I get that. Drew, the Rangers will play the keep him on the farm for service time with Langford. You know, I hate that game, by the way. It's very short-sighted because when you got a bird in hand, you got a good team, you got a good offensive team, you got your best pitchers out till midseason, at least. You can't piss away the early part of the season just because you want to play, service time games with your top prospect. Too many teams fall for this. If they had pitchers and they were deep in a starting rotation and everybody's healthy, I get it. Sit them, bring them up in June, let them start then, move on. Marlins did that a little bit. It didn't cost them last year, but, with Perez up and down, Angels will do better than the A's. You know what? I will say this, Drew. They won't. I don't think if Trout goes down again, if Rendon doesn't find some fire for the game and get back to where he was before they signed him, or even doesn't play, again, he's got some injury history now as well. Where's this team that much better than the A's outside of those two guys? The pitching staff is, again, the A's could have some hidden gems we don't even know about. They're also going to be playing in front of nobody. But, that's the A's fault. Shout out to Chris Fgrave. Everybody's shouting out to Chris Fgrave. Drew says, Drew agrees with me. Oh, my God. This is bad. I don't think the Rangers will repeat. First of all, it's hard to repeat. The Scherzer and DeGrom fiascos will handcuff them a bit, too. Not just this year, too, but into the future. And again, I'll qualify that with, and Alan hasn't commented yet, but let's just assume I'm right for a second, Alan. I don't think you've commented. Let's just assume I'm right for a second, and all you get out of DeGrom is last year's World Series. And it isn't because of DeGrom performing. I'm allowing for the fact that it built confidence in the rest of the team that the team was behind them. They felt they were in a position to win. That's why they made these moves. Is that enough? Is that one World Series enough for you to if you had to punt away the next? I don't know. I'm not saying it'll happen because your offense is very good. You got some good young players, some good young pitchers. But let's just say you had to punt the next 5 years because of the albatross contract of DeGrom and Scherzer this year at least. I would have to say, is with the Rangers' history, that's still worth it. I don't know. What is this? Braves, Astros, Rangers? Oh, yeah, the Will Smith. I thought it was the Astros. That's my bad. Will Smith, lucky charm. Can the Royals make it 4 in a row for Will Smith? I doubt it. Teoscar put up better numbers by playing more in the field. Some players have a real hard time being relegated to strictly DH. George Bell, Adam Dunn sitting on the bench affects your focus. You can add Stanton to that a little bit, although Stanton can be a liability in the field. Plus, he gets hurt when he plays in the field. But I do think I like Teoscar Hernandez's game. And I do think that he will benefit more by playing. I think anybody, unless you're an old guy, unless that's your job and that's all you've ever done. Edgar Martinez, he played his first couple of years at third base, but he played a long time and got to grow into that DH role, and it was made for him, right? But the guys like Teoscar Hernandez who are used to playing every day, I think getting back into the field will help him rebound a bit offensively myself. Evaldi still, again, Evaldi, he's still healthy. He got hurt last year, by the way. Let's not forget. He missed significant time, did he not? Pitched well, and I could say he pitched above expectations, which you can't expect necessarily to happen again. Dunning's gotten better, but he hasn't shown that they really want him to be a starter. He's a competent pitcher. I like Dunning a lot. Gray is a journeyman. And why is everybody in love with Andrew Heaney? What was Andrew Heaney's numbers last year? What am I missing about Andrew Heaney that he keeps coming up all the time? It just drives me crazy. It just drives me absolutely bonkers. Let me see what his numbers were last year, because I talked about his numbers coming into last year when everybody's saying, what an improvement he's going to be for this team. All right, so last year, 4.66 ERA. That's pretty – no, that's not it. Sorry. Bye-bye. That's wrong. 4.15 ERA. Okay. His whip, nothing special. Gave up 23 home runs in 147 innings. That's not good. Walked 60. That's not too bad. But, is that special? And that's, by the way, is like his second best season. What do you win? He started 28 games, goes 10-6. That's okay. Why is do I think Andrew Heaney's a guy that can carry this team until those pitchers come back? No. And what's Monty waiting for? If Monty was coming back to Texas, I think he'd be there already. I think if Monty takes a deal somewhere, it's going to be. Well, I wouldn't go to the Red Sox because they're in big trouble. Drew talks about Teoscar may, in theory, hit better by playing in the field, but he's not a great fielder. No, I didn't say he was a great. This is not about him being a great fielder. It's just that some guys are affected on offense by not playing on defense, not being involved enough in the game. Can't keep themselves focused. Some people can. JD Martinez learned how to do it. Nobody did it better than Martinez. Let's see. Unless he was completely psyched out by Seattle's ballpark, the Dodger Stadium isn't that much better. He still strikes out too much and doesn't take a walk. Everybody strikes out too much. I'm not going to hold that against him. I think Teoscar's a good candidate to bounce back with a good year. Not a great hitter's park, right? As I think Drew's pointing out there. We'll see. I do too. Drew's kind of agreeing with me. Evaldi definitely pitched, I think, over his head. I can't expect him to pitch that well again this year. I'm not sure I can expect Dunning to pitch that well. Gray's a journeyman. They may pitch. You saw it. Alan, the perfect example is Martin Perez. I told you 2 years ago he was having a great first half. They should have traded him at the deadline that year, got some value for him. They really wanted him. They could have brought him back in free agency, but he pitched back to really probably what he really is last year. And Evaldi is certainly a capable pitcher, even if he pitches below last year's numbers. But, I just don't know that. Again, I worry about the pitching there. They should be able to make a wild card, as you mentioned, but there's too many wild cards. Taylor Waters hitting well in spring training, so hopefully looks as if his plunking is not hurt him long term so far. We were talking about this earlier too, Drew. I don't know. Chris F. Grave had brought him up, I believe. And he is playing well. And again, I don't put a lot of stock, as we know, in spring training results because they really, to me, I've seen lots of guys have big spring trainings and not perform. But at the same time, I got to catch myself because I just got through ripping Carlos Rondon for continuing his struggles here in spring training. So maybe I've either got to temper that or I've got to maybe give some of these guys a little more credit for their efforts in the spring. Well, this is a good one, Chris. Haven't seen a good technical hitting DH in a long time. A hitter who hits for average, gets on base, but no pop. Right, Chris, you're showing your age here, dude. Rance Mullenix, Dave Madigan. I'm trying to think of some other guys. Where are the good technical hitters to begin with anywhere? Is something that I would ask. Right? Where are they? There's very few in baseball to begin with, much less DH. See CJ out there somewhere. How you doing, CJ D. Simone? Check out CJ's stuff on Northeast Streaming Sports. Does some great stuff. Got a new hockey show starting on Wednesdays, I think at 7:00. I'm not sure the exact time on that. CJ, if you're watching and you want to comment, please feel free to put some information in. I'll be glad to share it. It's a good question and a couple of great names from the past. But if you can't hit with power today, you're left behind anyway. We don't care about technical hitting. We don't care about hitting behind runners. We don't care about going the other way with the ball. We don't care about, whatever. I'm not going down that road. By the way, we talked about Wheeler's extension, some other. We talked about Chapman signing with. I can't get back to my. There we go. Chapman signing with the Giants. By the way, just some news. I just now. Joey Votto, longtime Cincinnati Red, released in the offseason, has agreed to a minor league deal with the Blue Jays. Interesting. I think Joey Votto's probably done, but that's an interesting move there. Rangers now, Nathaniel Lowe, the first baseman, could miss opening day. A lot of injuries around the league. A lot of injuries. Giolito may miss the entire season for the Red Sox. Who else has gotten hurt here recently? I had a bunch of stuff, and now I can't read my writing. Acuna will be ready for opening day. That's good news for them. I saw some other injury stuff too, and now it's gone from my purview here. Who else got hurt? Somebody else got hurt. Giolito, we talked about. Acuna. Sonny Gray could miss opening day. A lot of injuries around the league. I don't know what's going on, but it's interesting. Votto is Canadian, so that's a welcome home shot for him. And where's he going to play in that team? Right? His bat's pretty much used up. They got Vlad at first base. They got Belt, I think, at DH. Where's he going to play? I don't know. Luis Arraez, yeah, that's a good call. He's not hit. By the way, I would not expect him to hit 350 something again this year. Mark Grace didn't DH. He was a good example of a technical hitter at a power position. That's a good example. Don Mattingly at the end of his career, I would say, was more of a technical hitter than a power hitter. John Olerud, not great power. By the way, Miami's infield. Miami's a team still pitching still looks pretty good, but that lineup and that defense, that infield defense, got to be the worst. Battery's running low. What's going on here? Hold on, guys. I got something going on here. Bear with me. I have no idea. Oh. How's that? Peekaboo. I somehow pulled my plug out. I don't want to lose you guys. I should have saw that coming. We got about 13 minutes left here. What was I talking about? Oh, the Marlins. That infield defense is going to be, I mean, if not historically bad, it is the worst defense in baseball this year, I think. We talked about that. Chris, with the amount of injuries we've seen this season, are players working out too much? Sounds funny, but I think about it. Listen, you didn't hear about oblique injuries, did you? 30 years ago? Yes, they work out. They don't. We talked about this, and obviously you would not have seen this, Chris, but in the past I've talked about they work out too much and they don't do baseball activity type workouts. They don't build a core. They don't build their base. You see a lot of injuries to quads and obliques, and they're just, we're building up arms. We don't train the right way. Look at the Yankees and the injuries that they've had the last several years. I mean, I've got to look at the training staffs. I got to look at the medical staffs of anybody that's having those types of injuries. They're not the only ones. It's everywhere in baseball, and it's injuries that we didn't used to see. So I don't think it's, I really don't think it is off base. They're working out too much and doing the wrong type of workouts. Yeah, I don't think Josh Bell or as Tim Anderson and Berger are the best infield ever assembled. They don't rival the, Dodgers of the 70s, let's say, which in any way, shape, or form. They had some challenges. Davey Lopes wasn't the best second baseman fielding in the history of baseball. That was my best example I could come up with right now as far as great infields. Compared to this one, oh, my God. They might hit a couple of home runs there. Josh Bell might, look at Josh Bell, Jake Berger. I thought Berger was a strange signing for this team anyway. I was a little surprised they went into this year with him after bringing him aboard last year for the stretch run. It's just very interesting. As far as injuries to pitchers, I'm going to say this one more time because Chris, I know you haven't seen this or heard this from me. Pitching injuries are caused by Major League Baseball's approach to pitching in the first place. They don't pitch enough. We work out and do everything else, but we don't throw enough. Nolan Ryan, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, maybe 15, maybe longer now, I don't even know, when he was running the Rangers, tried to change this, had pitchers actually pitch. But now by trying to protect these big contracts, they limit innings, they limit pitches, and that starts from the time these kids sign. So they're looking for somebody to come and get them after 90 pitches. If they just threw and improved their arm strength, you'd have less injuries, and your money would be better protected than it is the way they're doing it today. I've gone into this, and I will continue to go into this, as long as we have all these pitching injuries. And again, in general, there's just injuries all over the place for sure. Bring back the old medicine ball and a case of beer workout. That's the Babe Ruth, the Babe Ruth workout, right? Medicine ball, bite of a hot dog, drink some beer. You're probably right. I mean, in the 70s, I never heard of an oblique injury. I mean, did we just grow new anatomy that I didn't know about? Or we called it something different? I know maybe we called it something different and we had to stop changing or calling it that type of injury because we were offending somebody. I mean, we can't have a disabled list now because it offends people. Olrud, Alfonso, Ordonez, Ventura was the best fielding. That's I'd have to think to try to beat that. I'm trying to think back to my Yankee days, right? If Mattingly had come up a little sooner and I had Nettles, Dent, Randolph, and Mattingly, I could argue with you, but I don't have that first baseman. Because Nettles is better than Ventura. Ordonez is probably better than Dent. Alfonso and Randolph I would put on a par. Olrud is a great defender at first base for sure. I'd have to think hard to come up with a better defensive lineup than that one, though. Good call. Good catch. Non-Met fan, Drew. I don't know why I like to try to pigeonhole Drew as a Met fan, but I am. Because that's what I want to do. Good call. What else we got here we wanted to talk about today? Where's my... again, managers on the hot seat, we talked a little bit about last week, but is there more pressure? Let me look at my standings here real quick. Let me look at my teams. Is there more pressure on Dave Roberts, let's say, or, I don't know, Craig Counsell? Counsell signed the biggest contract ever in the history of Major League Baseball for a manager. Dave Roberts is managing a team with probably the highest payroll in the history of baseball. Well, maybe the Mets are still there. I don't know, with guys that are continuing to pay. But this Dodger team is obviously all in with what they've done with Ohtani and Yamamoto and Glasnow. I got to believe the pressure's really on Dave Roberts to get it done this year. Now, they're going to win 100 games. So he's not going to get fired during the season. So it's not that type of hot seat. But if he doesn't get to a World Series, and maybe if he doesn't win, pressure's on. Who else? Who else is got pressure on him to do well this year. Brandon Hyde's probably got some pressure because the expectations are high for the Orioles. I think he'll do okay. Stephen Vaught, Stephen Vaught never managed a game, but basically from the field to managing in 2 years. Always pressure in New York. Aaron Boone can't seem to get himself fired if he wanted to. Scott Servais had him in trouble the last couple of years. John Schneider, hot seat. I said this last year. I'm going to repeat my prediction. One of these years I'll be right. He's out by Memorial Day, and Donnie Baseball will be managing that team. It's a couple of names in the American League. I mentioned Craig Counsell with some pressure on him in Chicago because of the big contract. Pat Murphy replacing Craig Counsell, moves from the bench coach to manager. Carlos Marmol needs to have a bounce back season. Dave Martinez, nobody's expecting much there. So, what we got here before we have to wrap it up in about 4 minutes here, guys? I'm cool with limiting innings on 21-year-old pitchers. Steve Avery, Mark Langston, the list goes on with blown potential. I think there's more blown potential. I've got to respectfully disagree, Chris, because I see more blown potential today with the Steven Strasburgs, the DeGroms of the world, who don't throw enough than I saw back in the 80s and 90s of what you're talking about here. Just saying. Nolan Ryan. I know he's an oddity. Tigers are your sleeper team this year. We talked about the Tigers a little bit early. That's probably a good one to pick. We got to do our show. Drew and I will do a preview show as long as Drew's willing to do it, obviously. I've got to come up with a night to do it here in the next 3 weeks or so. But we'll definitely do that. As we have the last couple of years, had a lot of fun with that. And I'll come up with my sleeper. I don't know yet. Council's signing still irks the crap out of me for what they did to Ross. I think he has more pressure than Roberts. Good call, who did a great job last year. Dave Roberts did a tremendous job last year. And I did say that a lot of times during this show and my other shows. With the injuries to that team all over the field, specifically to the starting rotation. But I mean, he lost his starting shortstop before the season. Lost every one of his starters for at least part of the season. Lost a potential Cy Young candidate in Walker Buehler for the whole year. So, yes, he did a great job last year, but he has not won a World Series with maybe one of the better teams in baseball the last 5 years. Now, he did win, I get it, in 2020, 60-game season. I just got to put an asterisk there. I'm sorry. But Council will have. It bothers me, too. I never like – you shouldn't be negotiating for somebody else's job. There used to be a code where these things wouldn't happen. And I like Craig Counsell, but I've lost a little respect for him there. Anyway, it's nice to see that Tiger Town is back. Be able to say that again. Hey, the Tigers are on today. I would think up there in Toronto, outside of the Blue Jays, before the Blue Jays, you were probably a Tigers fan, if I'm not mistaken. Would you say that's right, Chris, or not? I got to get ready to sign off here. Chris, you feel free to answer, and if I get a chance, we'll post it. We'll be back Sunday, guys, with the Stream of Consciousness, Sunday Stream of Consciousness, where everything goes. We'll find some stuff to talk about, I'm sure, for a couple hours Sunday. We'll be back next week with the Major League Baseball update. And obviously Wednesday with the college sports huddle. Thanks again to everybody who contributed today. And we'll see you next week. And good luck to your team. And stay healthy. And we'll be doing a preview show here pretty pretty soon. And there's Chris's answer. He grew up knowing Frank Tanana's name as a Tiger before he met some of my relatives. Good stuff. All right, guys, have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Sunday morning. Bye-bye.